No worries.
Pascal, on ne voit pas du tout là.
C'est à l'ombre. Il était petit. Ah bah oui, qu'elle est grosse, c'est la big boy. C'est pour ça.
Ah bah ouais. Je l'ai fait en vidéo, vous pouvez pas les filles.
Mais là, il faut faire la chanter, hein, les filles en vidéo. Sourissez les gonzesses, sourissez.
C'était presque bon. Il fallait que Dominique passe de l'autre côté.
25 big boys.
C'était presque. La plus bonne c'est Anne et après Dominique qui va appeler Lolo. Et ça, je te jure, ça fait de ça.
Vous avez intérêt à nous écouter les petites là. Hein
Vous imaginez la carmelette?
Sorry, it's the person? Yeah. All right. Sorry. How you doing?
Tankage. has a diesel.
Yeah, for that choosing. I don't know if they didn't want to come, but
There's the bedroom. Restroom with sink. Toilets with baggage. It's the dining area.
No, but they switch it in different.
Telegraph operator, baggage handler, the conductor, porter, the station master, the hobo, tycoon, immigrant, passenger, master mechanic, the engineer, the brakeman and switchman, and the fireman.
The whole cable back, but yeah, they resemble it, yeah.
The tickets are out at the main.
325, just deal with it.
And these seats do move. So if you'd like to, like if you guys want to face each other, you can. We're going to go forward and back. So that's why the seats do move. Is so are going forward or backward, you can face it the way you want to.
All right, welcome aboard, everyone. We're on our way. We're today doing what's known as a Matta Street Tower tour. We're going on what is normally a traditional shuttle run and stopping at the switching tower just shy of the Lackawanna station. As we go through our trip today, I'll be pointing things out on both sides. The side facing the rail yard, the open rail yard, is the north side of the cars, and the side facing the brick buildings is the south side of the cars. You can listen to the sounds of our F3 engine pulling us today. Number 664, originally built for the Bangor and Aroostook Railroad up in Maine. This is one of the oldest operating F3s in the country. It was built in 1948. Only two others are of the similar age, and the other one is right here in Steamtown as well. Forward, 3 blasts means we're going in reverse, and then 2 longs, a short and a long, means we're going past a crossing. So we'll get a couple of those today.
Prime movers.
Yeah.
That's the prime movers.
Yeah. It's all very hard. They're like great. Yeah, they have to switch it up. It's down, so switch it up.
That's Delaware-Lackawanna Western.
This rail yard dates back to approximately 1850, so it's been in use for nearly 174 years of continuous use. Now, there have been different railroads over that time. The first and primary railroad to operate and own this yard was the Delaware-Lackawanna and Western, or just Lackawanna for short. They were here from about 1850 up until about 1960, and that's when they merged with their rival railroad, the Erie Railroad, forming Erie-Lackawanna, so not much of a big change. Then around 1976, they were replaced when they went out of business. They went into a merger, or rather bankruptcy, which eventually was folded into Conrail. And in 1984, Steamtown USA came into the area, and we've been operating here ever since with Steamtown National Historic Site being formed in 1986. To the north of us, you can see that ramp going up to the marketplace at Steamtown. The ramp itself is not historic. Parts of it are, including this concrete section. This was originally built as a coaling trestle, so a small or a rather large bridge-like structure that would hold a small steam locomotive, which would push loaded coal hoppers up to the top and get coal ready for the entire fleet of steam locomotives in the yard. To the south of us and across the parking lot, you can see the world's largest steam locomotive. That would be the Union Pacific Big Boy, number 4012. There were 25 of those engines built between 1941 and 1944. Ours was here and was built in November of 1941. There are only 8 of those big boys left surviving around the country. The rest were scrapped. Out of those 8, one of them is operational. That would be the 4014 out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. That one was restored in 2019 in time for the 150th anniversary of the Transcontinental Railroad. The fun fact I always like to tell everybody about the big boys is they are 133 feet long. That's longer than the Wright brothers' first flight. the Lackawanna Railroad's gateway west, and Hoboken was the Lackawanna's gateway to New York City and points further east. Now, the Lackawanna was not lucky enough to get directly into the city of New York, and so they got the next best thing, which was to get you across the Hudson in New Jersey from the city. If you were looking to go into the city of New York via the Lackawanna, what you would have to do is disembark your train at Hoboken. Then you would board a ferry boat crossing the Hudson, and they would drop you off on the other side in New York City. If you were looking to do long distance travel and you were going west with the Lackawanna, the furthest they could take you is Buffalo. You would have to get off your train and board one of the other railroads in the city of Buffalo, and that would be either the New York Central or the Nickel Plate Road, either of which could take you both to Chicago. And if you were looking to go further from Chicago for points further west, you'd have to still get off your train and take another railroad, but this time you would be more lucky to continue for the entire trip. So for instance, if you wanted to go to the southwest, like New Mexico or Colorado or perhaps Arizona, you could take the Santa Fe Railroad. If you're looking to go to California, you could take the Union Pacific. If you wanted to go to the Pacific Northwest, like Oregon or Washington, you could take the Northern Pacific or the Great Northern Railroads. So the Lackawanna Railroad often considered itself a very important bridge line between the railroads east and west. In a short while, we're going to be stopping at Matta Street Tower, and we're going to be stepping off the train for those of you, and you could join us at the rear of the train. Once we do stop, there will be a single blast of the horn to let you know when it is safe to get up and to exit from the rear of the train. And then we'll show you one of the historical buildings here at Steamtown with Matta Street Towers. It's a rather unique switch tower. Most of the time they are built out of traditional masonry. This one was a preformed concrete switch tower, which you'll get to see up close and personal when we stop in a short moment. To the north of us is the downtown section of Scranton. You can see how close it is to the Lackawanna Railroad. And to the south of us is the former Lackawanna Railroad shops that were in service from about 1908 up until about 1949. And could be used to fix any of the steam locomotives in this Lackawanna's vast fleet. We'll be stopping shortly, so please be sure to wait for that single blast of the horn. What's known as the Radisson Hotel here in Scranton. The station was built in 1908 and it was in service up until about January of 1970. That was the last train it saw in that month. It's still very much intact on the inside. The tracks no longer serve it directly, however. But if you go inside, you can see some of the beautiful fixtures and features of the building. Italian marble lining the walls, tile murals that depict various locations along the Lackawanna Railroad, and a Tiffany stained glass ceiling in the center of the waiting room. So it's a very beautiful building. The Lackawanna Railroad wanted to build buildings like this for their passengers, mostly because they wanted to impress people that traveled by their railroad, and also encouraged more people to ride along the way. After its days as an active railroad, iron furnaces are more or less the reason why the city of Scranton is here, and why it was an industrial center for its time. The two namesakes of the city of Scranton, George and Selden Scranton, came here around 1839 looking to make their fortune, and so they took over those iron furnaces, they expanded them greatly, and allowed them to burn anthracite, which was a first for anybody who was trying to melt iron or eventually making steel. In the process, they learned what worked and what didn't work, especially since it was an experimental process. They originally started with the intent of making iron nails, but that business didn't quite work out for them. So they regrouped and made iron T-rails for railroads. Initially, they sold that to the Erie Railroad. They found out pretty quickly that they needed a railroad of their own to actually transport everything. And so that's what eventually would become the Lackawanna Railroad. To the north of us, you can see the elevated sections of that. Well, their cement is very, very strong. Long lasting, it will last for beyond its natural expiration date, which is around 100 years. When the city of Scranton was demolishing the sections of the elevated passenger tracks to make way for the marketplace in Steamtown, they found that Portland cement was just not giving way. And so quite unexpectedly, it added about a year worth of construction to the marketplace. So I always like to say that the saying goes that they just don't build them like they used to. About the car that we're riding in today. This coach is known as a commuter coach. The 303 is a baggage combination car, so it was split in half more or less with space to hold baggage for passengers, and then the seating arrangements that we have in the main compartment for passengers. These kinds of cars were used primarily in New Jersey as commuter coaches. They actually were in service from about 1923 to about 1973 or so. So just about 50 years of service with the Central Railroad of New Jersey, and very early days of New Jersey Transit, which still operates out of the state. This coach is in fact 101 years old, built in 1923. And they were built so well that at the end of their service life, when the CNJ and the New Jersey Transit were getting rid of them, they didn't just scrap them, they actually sold them to a number of historical societies and museums because they were such good quality cars. So whereas originally you would have only found them in New Jersey, parts of New York, and maybe some parts of Pennsylvania, now you can find them all over the place. As far west as California, as far south as Mexico, and as far north as Canada. They are really all over the place. And I guess that speaks to the good craftsmanship of American car and founders who built these cars. Freight engines, or diesels, are part of the Delaware-Lackawanna freight company, the short line that runs out of Scranton. It's still operational most days, but they'll use this space here at Steamtown to store their equipment until they need to move them out. Coming up on the south side of the car, you can see the newer switching tower. This one was built around 1952, 1953. And this is where all the service from switching was shifted to. So all switching from Math Street Tower was relegated over to this tower. Madison itself actually replaced an earlier tower on the middle of Bridge 60. And then altogether in 1952, that modern switching tower, Bridge 60 Tower, replaced Madison. At Steamtown. We still use it to this day to maintain our equipment and repair things. And the last thing I'll point out before we finally park at track 12 is to the north of us you can see an engine with a fan blade on the front of it. That's actually a rotary snowplow. That one was built in 1898 for the Long Island Railroad. It could pick up snow off the track and throw it a distance of 60 feet. So pretty impressive for something of that size.
What is the plow? Yeah.
Right there at the visitor center. You don't have to go in about the porta potty.
Wait, can we go inside?